am Alyssa Alvarado. My research was over whole brain teaching. I'm studying interdisciplinary studies with ESL certification. During my education in primary and secondary school, I was never the brightest student. I really had to work for everything, and I was not very good at retaining information. I learned at a very young age that I wanted to be a teacher. I actually knew in elementary school I wanted to be an educator. Um, I really believe that if students learn their best learning style, that they will succeed from an early start. It's hard to understand and know how to retain information if you don't know what works best for you. So I'll be using the VAC learning style models as part of my research. It stands for visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. Visual learning is whenever you prefer to learn by observing things and by seeing it written down. Auditory learners learn through sound and music, and kinesthetic learners are learners who are all about the sense of touch and movement. So for visual learning, they like to learn through written and reading tasks. Usually remember what has been written down. For our visual learners, it's good to include concept maps, visual aids, and anchor charts. And then we have auditory learners, and they have more trouble with reading and writing tasks. Usually if they're reading, you'll see them moving their lips or reading aloud. For these learners, it is good to integrate a think, pair, share videos and summarizing lessons or at the beginning what you're going to be learning about. And then we have kinesthetic learners. They do best while touching or moving. So a way to integrate this learning style is to use activities, which include stations and whiteboards to use during the lesson that's being given. So I'm going to be integrating these learning styles throughout whole brain teaching. And what whole brain teaching is, it's a 4 steps. So our first step is attention getting. And it is better to use attention getter that uses eye contact, voices, and a stop of movement. So the type of attention getter that's just clapping synchronously doesn't work as well because they can clap but also still be doing their work or looking somewhere else. So the best attention getter that I have came across is when I say hands on your head and eyes on me. And so this stops any movement. Their eyes have to be on you, and they respond as a class, hands on head and eyes on you, which has them stop their conversations completely, and you have their full attention. Now, the second step is to engage students' brains. This is when you use your anchor charts as a visual and you create movement to the words. During this time, the students are standing up behind their desks. So you are just fully engaging them. You are teaching them the motions, the words. Then the third step is direct instruction. This is when the students repeat after the teacher and do the motions to the words as everyone is speaking. So this is exactly when you're done teaching the movements and now you're just doing it along with the class. You would say mirrors up, and then you would say your content and they would respond back. And then the fourth and final step is so fun. This is whenever the students get to turn to their partner and then they teach each other. So they'll teach each other and then come back to the class as a whole. So there's a few literature out there that is helpful to this method. And there's a book called Whole Brain Teaching for Challenging Kids. It is a great resource. This book includes the origins of whole brain teaching and introduces the methods from all angles. It also gets into detail about mistakes, which is very important, knowing misconceptions beforehand. And it also tells you how to chart progress, and it includes classroom rules to have in your classroom while whole brain teaching. And this piece of literature also introduces classroom procedures and covers how to be successful doing this method. He also, the same author of the book, created a website. Now, this website includes games to play and has recordings of teachers using this method in their classroom. I love watching teachers teach. I just finished my student teaching, and I got to observe other classrooms, and it's so exciting to get to see their methods and how they do certain things. So these video recordings on this website really help see the outline of this method and kind of lets you take ideas that you want and figure out how you want to integrate whole brain teaching in your classroom. It just provides so many resources for all teachers to get to know this method, and I really love it. So the purpose of this research is to find if whole brain teaching is an effective strategy to use. My research questions are also which theorists form the learning styles? Do children learn differently from one another? How can teachers reach every student's learning needs in the classroom? How do learning styles affect children? And how will we know if whole brain teaching is a good strategy? So these are the methods and data sources. I will be collecting data by mostly observations, but also a survey. I will be keeping track of participation, if the students are motivated, and also looking at their assessments and comparing them to previous test scores before using this method. So during my observations, I noticed a change in students' behavior, which was something that I didn't think I would find. I wasn't looking for this, but the children were up and moving around, which created less distractions, as in they weren't messing with their water bottle at their desk. They weren't messing with pencils, having their pencils fight each other inside their desks. Because whenever students are sitting at their desks, especially during this time, it's hard for them to stay focused. They can't move around to their stations, and they're at their desks a lot. So this helped with our behavioral issues of students not getting bored, of them paying attention, and them being interested in the topic and the content I'm teaching. I also found that 85% of my class received an 80 or above on their spelling test. This was an improvement compared to previous spelling test records. Usually, we have not more failing, but we would have about 2 or 3 of the students that passed are usually averaging as a failing grade. So they improved by a lot, and I really think it helped being up, moving around, and doing it as a class. So I did find that whole brain teaching is an effective strategy that uses all teaching styles. As you could probably notice, that it used auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning, and which is awesome to integrate as much styles as we can, because children and adults do learn differently from each other. For my 10 responses in my survey, their learning styles were either multiple of them, visual, or auditory. And multiple means that they couldn't say that they were just visual learner, or they were just an auditory learner or a kinesthetic learner. They learned in multiple ways. And to reach every student's learning needs, it's important to include all learning styles as much as possible. From the survey, I also found out that 50% of the responses said that they used more than one of the styles. This proves that we need to integrate as much as we can. Learning and understanding our own learning styles creates motivation and confidence in students' own learning. Excuse me. It also creates a more student-centered learning environment. They're in control of their own learning. They're confident. They know what works for them. We know the whole brain teaching is a good strategy because of the data and improvement in my short-term lesson, and the grades increase in the classroom behavior also was a big improvement. So I actually found that Aristotle is the one that started the theory of learning styles. He noticed that children had differences, and after his findings, many researchers, including Vygotsky, Piaget, Gardner, started to form their own ideas regarding learning styles. I thought that was really cool to find out. So here's my surveys and it was out of 10 participants. I had 3 questions. The first one was, have you heard of the learning styles, kinesthetic, auditory, and visual? And 100% responded yes. So they know, they're aware, which is very good. And then I asked, do you know what type of learner you are? And 100% responded yes, which I thought was interesting and very good, because some of the participants were not related to education. So it's good that they're aware of, even if they're not in the education field. Aware even if they're not in the education field. And then my third question was, what type of learner are you? So I had 50% respond as visual learners. I had 40% respond as multiple styles, and 10% responded kinesthetic. What surprised me because I'm more kinesthetic, so it's interesting to see that half of your people are actually visual and not the same. So here's the website to visit that includes all the resources. I thought it'd be really cool to show you what it looks like. So this is the website the link will take you to. It has the whole brain teaching basics. It goes through the steps. It gives you more information about attention getters, brain engagers, what you can do. But also down here, it shows you videos of teachers doing whole brain teaching in action. And I absolutely love watching teachers teach and getting ideas. So this is really a great resource to go to if you want to learn more about whole brain teaching. All right, well, thank you for listening about my research. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're interested and go check out the website. All right, thank you.